Good morning, guys. It's Deon from Bitcoin Bounce. Let's jump into the charts here. Something interesting I wanted to show you guys is this is the total 3 chart on the 1 hour. So last night we had the sell-off. I personally think this was like a manipulated move. I'll show you why. I think some big players started selling into this hype of buying, retail market buying. So some big player now had decided to take profit, move the market down, and then rebuy. So yeah, they started selling their order. Yeah, they had buyers expecting just a retest of the 20, and then yeah, they had buyers expecting a retest. You'll see like people were buying here 2 green candles just off the 50, so people were expecting just a retest like we had a retest here and all along here when we hit the pink line, which is the 20 EMA. So then there were no more buyers, dropped down. Then there were some buyers here on those previous wicks. You can see the price did still a bit, and then round about here there were more buyers, and then obviously lots of buyers around the 200 EMA, people that would put orders expecting it maybe to come and retest the 200. So lots of buyers here, but these guys kept on selling because there were more buyers, and eventually they had a big order here to you can see a big rejection from this area, and it was this previous wick low here, or the start of this big fat candle, and they had their orders lying there, and that bumped price back again. And where did these guys buy? They obviously all bought down here. So when we were consolidating in this area, they were starting to build positions to sell later on. So they bought there, started selling that whole area now, and now they've bought in here. So quite a good deal that these guys have done. So what you can learn from this is just the one thing is these big fat candles, it's why we always keep an eye on them. You see like that one there, they always come back to recover them. Well, not always eventually, but mostly fairly often. The big players would come to take those candles back, or at least recover half of them. So like you can see here, we've had too fast move down, so it's recovered then fairly quickly. So we're already nearly halfway into that big fat candle there, back up to the top side. So it's just a good idea to always keep an eye on the last big candles above you and below you. Those are called fair value gaps if the price just gaps too fast. So that's just interesting to see the money flow. And just something else I can show you which is also interesting, the best time for these guys to pull these moves, they wanted to push price up, they wanted to push price down, is it's called the dead gap zone. So that's when the New York market closes and just before the Asia market opens. They're like 3, 4, 5 hours where there's like nearly zero activity. So the only orders they hit are like pre-placed orders. Everyone's sleeping, and these orders just then get manipulated. So if I turn on my sessions here and just zoom in, I don't know if it will show up clearly on your charts, but this green area here is the New York session. So you can see the New York session ended here, and in the dead gap zone this also happened to be a Friday night, so before you can see it was the whole weekend, so that was the last forex trading day as well. So when New York closed, that's when these guys started to manipulate this move to the upside. And last night, if I just zoom in there, you can see exactly there on New York close, which was there, they started this massive move to the downside, and Asia opened round about here. So the big manipulations happen in those time frames, just between in that dead gap zone. So that's another thing that you can keep an eye out on. Let me just turn all these things off. Then jumping to Bitcoin. So on the Bitcoin on the weekly, we had this triangle pattern, this symmetrical triangle. We broke out, expecting a retest. So a good retest would be at 382. Even better would be at this 0.5 on the fib, and perfect retest would be around about 618. So that's around about this 18,500 area, if price would come back down there. So that's what everyone's kind of expecting, especially like I've just shown you, these big fat candles, they kind of just need to be recovered. So people that bought somewhere they have to start selling, and that big sell will then exactly what happened now with the total 3 chart. You'll see should happen here eventually with Bitcoin as well. Somewhere it's got to pull back. Those guys have to start taking profit. So just going over to the daily. On the daily, these are the levels that I'm kind of watching at the moment. So this is support here under the 200 and the 200 EMA and the 20. I think price could easily come back down to this area, and these are the areas that we have to break now at the moment. So I think big resistance up to around about 23,400. So in the zone, I expect more of a pullback, maybe to come and retest this area, yeah, or retest the 200. So those are the daily levels. Then patterns on the daily. I've still got this parallel channel running, so also they normally come down to retest this middle section, which kind of coincidentally lines up with that area that we've just been talking about. And then there's also this rising wedge, broadening wedge, and they normally would break to the downside, but I don't know, it's too big to actually, I don't know, I doesn't, it's here, but I'm not paying much attention to it. I can't see price like really coming to test the last lows. I personally kind of think the lows were in, so I can't see this playing out, but anyway, I see it in the chart, so let's just keep an eye on it. If we go back down to the 4 hour, so there we were trading that little parallel channel that's still active and running, so we can keep an eye on that. And then this one here was a narrowing wedge, so this is also a bearish pattern. They normally break to the downside, so it could be that we break down, just fake out, maybe come and retest the 50, but you know, it's kind of two patterns then that are bearish that we've seen now, so just something to keep in mind. Then going down to the hourly levels, so these are my hour levels. Let's just catch up here. So the big targets here for me would be this big support zone, 21.3 to 21.4, and then the highs. I think we could be trading in these ranges here because of that big fat green candle that we've spoken about now earlier as well. So, but at the moment we're kind of in this range. Last night we broke down exactly back down to this little level here, so if you were awake, it was a good area to catch along. The options that one can look at trading at the moment, so this short-term scalps, we're getting into resistance here with the 20 and the 50, so I think we could be coming just to retest the 50 and then going back down. So you could look for a short here, or if we do break out of that, you could do a long, but I would be hesitant with this yellow line that we would break back down again. So one could maybe then, if we do go up there, look for another short from there. And then if you did get into a short, yeah, if we reject off the 50, you could hold it, just move your stop loss like into profit, and see if we break back down through the zone like we did last night. And if we do, you can then just hold that trade, see, you know, move your stop loss down, maybe ride it back down to the 200 or wherever you get stopped out. So it could be a good entry for a short scalp, or whenever we break this area, so we come back down, go back up again, and then come back down, and then come back down a bit later. You know, one could maybe get into a second trade there if you get stopped out once we break below there, and same thing if price then maybe goes back up. So you could take, what I'm saying basically is that you could take profit between these levels. When you hit the next level, take profit, then wait for it to break that level, then get in. Or if you get in high enough, you could maybe then just ride it all the way down. And longs, I would be looking, as I say, if we break through the 50, I would look at a long, but not this close to the yellow line. I would kind of preferably look for a long up there. And then if something like this happens, that we come down to retest this level, that could be a good long entry, and the awesome long entry would be back down here if it would price would come this low. So those are my kind of short-term options. Long terms, you should have been in this kind of short. This was a good area to remember. I said that on the 1 hour chart, if Bitcoin breaks 50, it's a good place to enter. So you should actually be in this trade, but everyone was sleeping. But if you were around, you could have. I was also sleeping. I missed this move. So now at the moment, if you did buy in there, you could probably just close your position if we hit this 50. If we don't actually break back down, so you could close it in profit and maybe just look for the next kind of short from just a little bit lower down. Yeah, so one doesn't know what's going to happen when we get to that area. If you're awake, you could have taken profit back down here. Yeah, so short, so I wouldn't, you would either be in one or wait for one, wait for a new one to pop up. And then longs, the perfect long, as I said, would be back here from the 200, or otherwise I think there's just going to be a massive rejection. So just on a long-term long, if you wanted to get into a long and hold, it would probably be best to just wait then to either break this level and then be sure that, okay, from here we're going up, or otherwise wait and just be patient and hope that we hit this level down here. You know, otherwise in between this, we just might be bouncing around for weeks. So maybe you could be doing something else with your long-term money then. I think that's it for Bitcoin. Then Ethereum on the daily. Also, I would yeah, kind of be looking for a quick scalp, maybe up to the 20. But at the moment, you would have to keep an eye on the RSI and MACD and so on, and the volume. So to me, going long at the moment, there just doesn't look like there's, as you can see, there's like no volume, no buying volume at the moment. MACD is still down here. It could be turning, but the RSI is still not happy. It's not near the 50. Stochastic is in a buy, but RSI I would only get in once we're above the 50. So just be patient on a long, and short one could maybe get into sooner. You could just see for look for like a good rejection area here. We just need to be patient at the moment to look for a good deal here. No one knows exactly what's going to happen, but it looks to me, because we're under this 20, under this 200, and the 20 has crossed down under the 200, that we should really be in for some more downside. You just need to find a good area to get in, maybe on the 15 minutes, and keep an eye on your RSI and stochastic if you can get a good entry there. I think there's another short here before we could look at a long. Then ADA, same thing, coming up to the 200 here on the 1 hour chart. So I would also see if we're going to maybe reject off it and then play that short back down to this level here, and maybe be lucky that we go even further down to this level. There's MATIC would probably be the same kind of thing. So it could be that we're coming up to the 20 or the 200 here, so I wouldn't trade this up. Somewhere here there's a lot of resistance. You can see the 2200 and the 50 all here, and then still the previous resistance area is all above us now, so it could really be in for another bounce back to the downside. And then yeah, you could look for a long when we get back down here, or maybe even coming as far as the 800 to retest the 800 and get a good long there. So at the moment, just looks like all of the charts we're waiting for a good long position and a quick short. And same, exactly the same here on XRP. Also a quick short to the top side, and then look for a quick scalp to the upside, yeah, the 20, then for a short back down, and then for a long when we hit these bottoms. Looking for a good long there. Then WRX coin still consolidating, and we're waiting for our spike to the top side. AVAX, it was looking good yesterday. I think we were around about here expecting kind of a bounce off the 20 or the 50, which then broke down to the bottom, but already recovered above the 200. So it's looking fairly strong, but like all the others, it could be just coming to retest the 20 and the 50 before going back down again. So still, if you're in a long-term trade on, if you like bought in here, you're still looking good, and we might come down to retest these levels here before going up again. But if you're in it, I would still stay in it, and maybe if price drops like right back down to the 800, just get out and see what happens, so you'll get out in profit and maybe buy in here again to go back up long. But for now, it's still looking fairly good. The 20 seems to be horizontally moving to the top side again. So let's see, we just have to be patient. So thanks guys, thanks for joining us. Joseph will be back a little bit later this afternoon going through all these charts again, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Cheers.